Okay, so we have a question here. It says the following information refers to NBL for the month November of 2023 with our selling price per unit 960, variable production overheads per unit 240, fixed production overheads per unit 300 kwacha. All right, so colleagues, take note here. If a question they've already given you the fixed production overheads per unit. This is your overhead absorption rate. So this overhead absorption rate is calculated once and it's used month to month to be checking if you have over-absorbed or under-absorbed. Okay. So in this question, it's a trick here. They'll give you this information. NBL uses an absorption rate for fixed production overheads and is based on normal capacity of 1,400 units per month. So here, they might trick you. You might want to calculate a new overhead absorption rate, but don't, because one has already been given to you. So stick with the one that has been given to you. But in the case you calculate a new overhead absorption rate, then you will find that you have no over or under absorption. Okay, because that overhead absorption rate will be based on what has been produced that month. Okay. So you won't have any under or over absorption if you calculate a new one. Okay. And one way to know if you've over or under absorbed, because in this case they've told us we're absorbing the overheads with the number of units produced. Okay. So you check here, the number of units produced on a monthly basis is 1,400. Okay. Then here they've told us we've produced 1,160. So, colleagues, do you think we overabsorb or underabsorb? We've budgeted 1,400 units, but with the actual performance, we produced 1,160 units. So, do you think we overabsorb or we will underabsorb? So, this is the trick with the number of units in a question. If the number of units produced is less than what is budgeted or the normal capacity, you're going to under absorb. Okay. When the number of units you produce is less than the budgeted capacity, you're going to under absorb. If we produced more units, let's say if we produced 1,500, since we've produced more than what we budget for, so we expect to over absorb because our overhead absorption rate is based on this capacity, on this 1,400. So any amount less than 1,400, you expect under absorption. And any amount over 1,400, expect over absorption. Are we clear on that point? If you need me to repeat it, I'll repeat it again. Are we clear on that point? Mr. Simon, Madam Veronica, Madam Tandiwe. If you're not clear, let me know. Okay. If you're not clear, let me know. Okay. Yes. So that's what I was saying. In a question, if you're given your fixed overheads per unit, use the one that's given to you. Okay. But if you decide to calculate a new one for that month, where you say, okay, this is the fixed overhead, this is the total fixed overhead. Since we're using number of units, you divide by this, you get a new overhead absorption rate, then in that case, what you're going to notice is there's going to be no over or under absorption. Okay. So in the questions, use the fixed overhead cost per unit given. All right. Use it. I'm not sure if you calculate a new one, if you'll be marked wrong. Okay. If you be marked correct, you can also calculate a new one. Okay. But I would advise use the one that's already given to you. But if it's not given to you and you don't see any fixed production overheads per unit, then it means you have to calculate by yourself now. Okay, colleagues? So if the fixed production overheads per unit is given, no need to calculate. If it's not given to you, then you can calculate. Okay. Yes. So yeah, the traders closing inventory was for October 2023 was 100 units. So the following is the actual performance of the month 2023. Okay, we've been given the selling price 960. So if this was a different figure as opposed to this one here, you use the one which is on the actual performance. Okay. So if here on actual performance it was 1000, and here on the information here seeing 960, use the 1000. Use the selling price for actual performance. Even for the variable production overheads, if here you have seen we've been given 240, and here under actual performance we've been given also 240. If this was another figure here, you use the one on actual performance. Okay, use the variable production overheads on actual performance. Okay, it's only on the fixed overheads where you just use this one which has already been calculated for you. All right. So yes, units produced 1,160, units sold 1,140. So determine the gross profit for November using absorption cost. All right. So we need to prepare a profit statement. All right. First thing that you need to do, okay, if you haven't been given any information about, find out your opening inventory and closing inventory. Okay, sometimes the question will let you know this is the opening inventory, this is the closing inventory. Other times they won't let you know. So we're doing this for the month of November. So colleagues, what is the opening inventory? What is the opening inventory? It's for the month of November. So what would be our opening inventory? Yes, this closing inventory for October, since we're now in November, so in November, that's our opening inventory. So opening inventory, 100 units. Okay, that's our opening inventory, 100 units. Now we need to get our closing inventory. Okay, so your closing inventory, CL, closing inventory, so you get your closing inventory. Closing inventory, CLI, or maybe let me put it as CI. Closing inventory is opening in inventory plus what you produce, so plus production. Okay, what you start with at the beginning of the month plus what you produce minus what you sell. Okay, opening inventory plus the units produced minus units sold. Okay, so in our question here, our opening inventory is 100 units, then the units produced 1160. So in total, in that month of November, in total in our factory, we have 1,260. Then we sold how many units? 1,140. Okay, so 0 minus 0, 6 minus 4, that is 2. 2 minus 1, that is 1. So we have 120 units as our closing inventory. Okay, okay. We started with 100 units, then we produced 1,160. So in total, we had 1,260 units. And out of those 1,260 units, we sold 1,140 units. So we remained with 120 units. Any questions? Any questions? Before we make our profit statement. Okay, we'll come here, make our profit statement. Okay, so these profit statements are similar to the trading account profit statement, all right? First thing, so we'll say insert table here. First thing, you want your sales revenue. So with our selling price 960 kwacha multiplied by our the number of units produced 1000 what number of units sold, not produced, number of units sold. Yes, so 960 times 1104 kwacha, what do we get? Are we there, colleagues? uh And with our calculators, those calculators, 960 times 1140. Remember, this is cost accounting. If you don't come with a calculator, it will be detrimental. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 1,094,400. Okay. Next, we need to tabulate the cost of goods sold. Okay. Cost of goods sold. Okay, so here, so we start with the opening inventory. Okay, opening inventory. Mm, we have 100 units. We need to calculate our total cost per unit. Okay, I forgot to start with that. After you get your opening and closing inventory, get your total production cost per unit. The total production cost per unit. Okay. So here our variable production overheads per unit 240, because remember absorption costing includes both variable and fixed production costs in 4 units. Now fixed overhead, fixed production overhead per unit 300. We're using the one which we already have. So 240 plus 300, 540 kwacha. Okay, that's how much it costs to produce 1 unit. Okay, 540 kwacha. And this is what we're going to use to value our opening inventory, our production, and our closing inventory. This is 540 kwacha. Okay, because absorption costing includes variable and fixed production costs. Okay, marginal costing, you would have just looked at only this one, this 240 here. But absorption costing, you're going to include both variable production and fixed production costs per unit. All right. So opening inventory, 100 units times 540. So 100 times 540, we get that would be 54,000. Then on production, we produced 1,160 times 540. So yes, 1,160 times 540. What do we get? 1,160 times 540. 626,400. 626,400. All right. So we get the total cost of goods available for sale. Okay. Total cost of goods available for sale. Okay, so 54,000 plus 626,400. What do we get? We add these two. Okay. 680,400. Okay, yes, so the total cost of goods available for sale. Then we want the cost of goods that have been sold. So in order to get the cost of goods that have been sold, you're going to deduct the closing inventory from the total goods that were around. Okay. This 680,400, it represents the total value of those 1,260 units that we have. Okay. Now, want to find out of those 1,260 units, the units that we sold, want to find their cost. Okay. So deduct closing inventory. So closing inventory, we said it's at 220 units times 540. 120 times 540. 64,800. Yes. So we subtract now 680,400 minus 64,800. What do we get? 615,600. Okay. So colleagues, we also need to find out how much we underabsorbed our overheads. Okay, because we can do since we know that we've underabsorbed. So if we want to make our adjustment with the cost of sales, are we going to add our underabsorbed overheads, or are we going to subtract our underabsorbed overheads? Our actual fixed production overheads are 624,000. Okay, these are the actual fixed production overheads, 624,000. Then our absorbed, okay, the absorbed ones is just your fixed overhead cost per unit multiplied by number of units produced. Since we're absorbing the fixed cost with the number of units produced, so our fixed overhead cost per unit times number of units produced, which is, so our fixed overhead is 300 multiplied by number of units produced, 1,160 units produced is 1,000. So 300 times 1,160. What do we get? 300 times 1,160. Are we there? 348,000. So, as I said earlier on, and earlier on in this class, we said when your absorbed overheads are less, okay, than your actual, you've under absorbed. Okay, when you absorbed overheads are less than your actual overheads, you've under absorbed. So in this case, we've under absorbed by how much? 624,000 minus 348,000. 276,000. So that's how much we've under absorbed by 276,000. Okay, these are how much we've under absorbed. So when it comes to cost of sales, what what are we going to do? Are we going to add the under absorbed overheads, or are we going to subtract the under absorbed overheads? Let me put it into perspective. When we under absorbed, we've undercharged. Okay, we've undercharged. Okay, so this cost of sales here, think of it as it's understated here. Okay, because part of this 540 here is this 300 from the 1,400 units. Okay, so all these values that we're getting here and our final cost of sales is understated because we've under absorbed. Okay, we used an overhead absorption rate for 1,400 units, but here we've produced how many? 1,160 units. So we've under absorbed here. Okay, so cost of sales is understated. So if your cost of sales is understated, what do you need to do? Do you need to add the under absorbed overheads or you subtract? Yes, you need to add them. Okay, you need to add them because they're understated. Okay, and if they're understated, it means your gross profit will be overstated. So you're going to say add under absorbed overheads. Okay, so you said 276,000 plus 615,000. What do we get? So only Mr. Simon was come with a calculator. Colleagues, what about the others? Mr. Mpas, Madam Leanne, Madam Veronique. Hmm? Why haven't we come with calculators? Why do we just want to spectate? In cost, it's not nice to spectate. Okay. It's nice also to punch in those. Mhm. Yes, 891,600. Yes. So our profit, okay, gross profit. Okay. So 1,094,400 minus 891,600. What do we get? Revenue minus cost of sales. 202,800. Yes, that is our gross profit. Okay. Do not be tempted and say now, then you deduct again these fixed production overheads. No, you just end there. 202,800. Then the other way we could have done it, if we wanted to use gross profit, okay, here cost of sales you would have put here 615,600. 1,094,400 minus 65 615,600. What do we get? When we subtract these two, 1,094,400 minus this 615,600. Hello, are you there? Bundles finished. Sorry about that. Okay, yes. So there's 1,094,400 minus 615,600. What do we get? Because here I want to do the adjustment with gross profit for underabsorbed overheads. Since we've underabsorbed, so we've undercharged. So our cost of sales is understated. Let's go down to this. Hello, are we there? Yes. So 1,094,400, 478, 800. Yes. So since we've under absorbed, so I said our cost of sales is understated and our gross profit is overstated. So we have to say less under absorbed overheads. Okay, since our profit is overstated. So 478,000 minus our under absorption was 276,000. Yes. Yes, 478,800 minus 276,000. So 8 minus 0 minus 0, 0, 0 minus 0, 0, 8 minus 0, 0. 8 minus 6, 2. 7 minus 7, 0. 4 minus 2, 2. Have you seen the same profit? 202,800. So when overheads are under absorbed, it means cost of sales is understated and gross profit is overstated. So with cost of sales, you add since it's understated. With gross profit, since it's overstated, you need to subtract.